Data table is the go-to component for rendering tabular data in React Admin. I'm using it in this posters list view to show each poster in a row, and I'm using each column to display various fields of the poster, whether they are text, image, number, etc., etc. Data table is a full-featured data grid, so it supports pagination. It supports changing the order by clicking on the data table header. You can have bulk actions by selecting several rows. By default, there is a bulk delete button. You can reveal more detail about a row using an expand panel. You can even choose which columns to show and reorder columns at will. This is really standard in data table. Let me show you another example with here the reviews tab of the poster detail. You can see that I rendered a data table here as well. It's not in a list view, but it renders in a list context, so I can use data table as well. Let's look at the code. So this product edit page uses data table, and data table doesn't need any prop. It will read the data from the list context. Here the list context is created by reference many field. In the case of the poster list view, it's created by the list component. So data table only needs children to define the data table columns, and children will be data table.call components. A column component requires a source, which will tell React Admin where to look for the actual field to render. And it can take an optional field to define the formatter for the value. Here, that's a date value, and I want to use the browser local to render it, so that's why I used a date field. But if I don't use any field, as in this comment column, then it's rendered as plain text. When you want to render numeric values, as is in the rating column, I recommend that you use the number call instead of the column. This will right align the value, and it will give you extra formatting options, which I'll talk about in a minute. And finally, when you need to render something more complex, for instance here, custom ID is a foreign key to the customer's table. Then you can pass a child to datetable.call, which will render in the record context of this particular record. And here I'm using reference field to render the customer name fetched from the customer table. So that's a basic example. It shows you that data table syntax is simple, but data table is actually a very powerful component. So in this table, for instance, I went a bit further, and I used, for instance, the row click prop on the data table component. Row click will tell React Admin where to navigate when a user clicks on a row. So by default here it's the edit view, but if I change it to show, then a click will lead to a read-only version of the poster. Let's get back to edit. A second prop that I used is the hidden columns here prop, and it tells that even though I defined a width and height column as children of data table, they should not be displayed by default. This will let you offer more columns than what screen can fit, and leave it to the end users to display these columns or not. And finally, I defined the expand panel here with just a text field. This is how I rendered this expand panel. Here you can use any React component that reads the current record context, so text field is a good example. Another notable prop of data table is a bulk action buttons, and that's what defines the buttons that are displayed when users select one or more rows. By the way, I can shift click to select a range of rows, and if I select if I set bulk action buttons to false, then the data table doesn't allow selecting rows anymore. So that's it for a few props of data table. I can show you a few props of the columns as well. So you've already seen that when you pass only the source, rect and min will infer the column label from the source, but you can also pass a custom label using the label prop here. That's why this thumbnail field is displayed with an image label. Sorry. You can pass options when you're using a number column to format the number using the INTL number format primitive. So here I'm rendering a currency in my browser local. And I can also do conditional formatting. Here you can see that the stock is sometimes red when it's under a particular threshold. And for that, I use the cell_sx prop, which accepts a function as value. And the function will receive the current record and return a style object. There is also a row_sx component that you can set on the data table component to render rows based on the value. Columns can be wrapped inside other components. Here, for instance, I use the CanAccess component to only render this column for users who have the right permissions. So you can see that the data table column work even when wrapped in other components. I use the SX prop to define some styles for each column. Here, for instance, the width of the number columns. And finally, if you want to go beyond what the data table offers and, for instance, edit a value in place, I recommend using an alternative component called DataGrid AG. So I've prepared an alternative version of this page using DataGrid AG. So the syntax is different here. It's using DataGrid AG instead of data table, but DataGrid AG allows edit in place. Here it allows resizing columns. It allows changing columns as well. Here I'm resizing column, and you can even group rows by category. There are tons more features for DataGrid AG. So when you get stuck with data table, take a look at DataGrid AG. It's an enterprise component, but it will fit your needs if what you need is an Excel-like spreadsheet. That's it for today. Thanks for watching and happy coding.